Overwatch, the game and in-game company, has interesting and powerful heroes that can shatter the earth, hack the world, or freeze people in their place. But with many powerful people, there is a hierarchy of power. Which of these heroes are the strongest and which are the weakest? Hey guys, I'm Brad with One Up Binge, and this is Overwatch 2, Weak to Powerful. We'll be talking about this from both a lore and a gameplay standard, how certain abilities work in the game. Second, we'll only be talking about the Overwatch 2 versions of these characters. Certain characters like Oriza, Bastion, and Cassidy were all changed in some ways in between the first and second games. Other characters like Hanzo, Symmetra, and Torbjorn had been reworked during the cycle of the first game and got very small changes in the second. So working with the most current versions at the time of writing this makes the most sense. Alright, let's start the list. The weakest hero on our list is Zenyatta, the Omnic Monk. Zenyatta is a support hero and a well-known character in Overwatch, being one of the original characters in the game when it came out. Zenyatta has a few things that make him a threat. His Omnic body is made of metals that may be hard to pierce, but his health pool is quite low. In fact, most of his health comes in the forms of regenerating shields, and with the new support passive of self-healing, he stays alive well. His weapon of choice are the Orbs of Harmony, which he fires off at extreme speeds to knock enemies in the head for amazing damage. He can use these orbs to heal his allies or increase damage to enemies. With his ultimate ability, he makes his allies immortal for a short time, as long as they stay close to him. Zenyatta is interesting because of all his abilities. However, with the lack of a movement ability, low health, and not enough kill power by himself, we can't rank him any higher than this. Next is Torbjorn. Torbjorn is a master engineer and one of the most important and earliest members of Overwatch. Among his many tools is his signature hammer that he uses to fix his many inventions. He's smart and able to build things many people wouldn't be able to. His main weapon is the Rivet Gun, a semi-automatic pistol-esque weapon that fires super hot bullets. While this can be used to garner quick finishing shots, his secondary fire is a quick shotgun-style blast that can deal a lot of damage to those in close range. However, his most important and powerful ability is Overcharge, which increases his health pool, damage, and fire rate, making him a menace in 1v1 situations. Not to mention his turrets, which are the main part of his moveset. These turrets can deal significant damage and are able to track most enemies with barely any issues. While he is great in 1v1 situations, his old age and bad depth perception and general personality makes him not nearly the strongest to be chosen. Now we have Hanzo Shimada. Hanzo was the head of the Shimada crime family and a master assassin. Hanzo is a master marksman and a man of honor. His main weapon is his storm bow, which is based on Japanese bows that he seems to be a master in. His regular fire is a powerful arrow that can one-shot most low-health heroes. He has a sonic arrow he can use that reveals the outlines of heroes through walls and line up better shots. He also has the storm arrows, which he can fire repeatedly in almost an automatic fashion, able to deal extreme damage in a short time frame. He's able to climb walls, thanks to his training, and can even dash in mid-air to reach ledges or walls to climb. However, his ultimate ability is the Dragon Strike Arrow, where he fires a powerful arrow that summons 2 spiritual dragons that melt the health of enemies. Due to being a masterful marksman and a powerful foe, he does get to raise a bit on the list. However, his ancient weapon is definitely outclassed by the others on this list. Without good aim, he'd be at the bottom. Next is Hanzo's brother, Genji. Genji is a trained ninja. He has a variety of abilities, such as the aforementioned wall climb. He's also a master marksman, but instead decides to utilize shurikens rather than Hanzo's bow. After his supposed death, he was given a new cyborg body that enhanced his speed, agility, and likely his strength. His main form of attack is his shurikens, which he fires in 2 distinct patterns. He can either fire 3 in a straight line, that can deal a good amount of damage up front. Secondly, he can fire 3 in an arc in front of him, which can hit multiple enemies at once if set up correctly. He also carries a small but useful sword that he uses in 2 unique cases. He can utilize it with his Blade Dash, which can be used to slice through weak and low health enemies, and also Deflect, which is strong enough to deflect bullets, bombs, and even abstract concepts like black holes and hard light. Genji's ultimate technique is the Dragon Blade, a massive katana that can cut through enemies repeatedly and slay the enemies around him quite quickly. Genji's cybernetic body doesn't make up for his archaic weaponry, but it does place him above Hanzo. Now we have Kiriko. Kiriko is another hero trained alongside the Shimadas, having a lot of skills. However, despite being the newest hero, she's definitely one of the weaker ones. She doesn't have a ton of strength or speed, however, she can climb walls like the Shamanas, which shows great agility. Kiriko's main weapons are her Afuda and her Kunai. The Kunai is her damage dealer, able to deal massive damage with headshots. They're not great without her aim, but she's a skilled enough marksman to make it work. Kiriko's Afuda tracks her allies to heal them, and she's skilled in their use. She also has a cleansing item that heals allies, knocks back enemies, and clears negative effects. However, where she really shines and what brings her higher is that she actually utilizes magic, being one of the only characters in the game who can utilize any form of magic. She can teleport to her allies so that she can heal them up close. And she can summon her Kitsune to increase the damage, speed, and lower the cooldowns of nearby enemies. Kiriko has a lot up her sleeve, however her weaponry drags her down. Next is Reinhardt. Reinhardt is a crusader, meaning he's a heavily armed warrior to protect his friends. Reinhardt is older, and his age has caused him a lot of problems. However, his heavy armor is nearly impenetrable, and he carries around a giant shield that can block incoming damage from the front. His abilities show off a lot of power, those being the Fire Strike, which sends a powerful wave of flame across the ground, and at an ally, with Reinhardt able to fire off 2 in a row. He also has his iconic Charge, which allows him to fly halfway across the map to pin enemies into a wall and deal massive damage. His final and most powerful attack is the Earth Shatter, which is when he slams the ground with enough force to break the ground and stun all enemies in front of him. Reinhardt is a very powerful individual, but much like the previous heroes, his choice of weapon makes him a weaker choice than others. Now we have Brigitte. Brigitte is a young protege of Reinhardt, being trained by him and her father, Torbjorn. Brigitte is trained in the Crusader ways, using a powerful but much smaller shield than Reinhardt uses. Much like Rein's rocket hammer, her main weapon is the Rocket Flail, a powerful and quick melee weapon that can hit multiple enemies in repeated fashion. Her main ability is the Shield Bash, which deals decent damage and has a soft crowd control effect, but it's really good for movement. She can utilize her flail as a whip that launches enemies when it hits. Brigitte can also throw out armor packs that can heal allies around her, which works well with her passive ability, where damage done to enemies heals allies. Similarly, her ultimate ability, Rally, invigorates her allies in such a way that it makes them a massive threat as long as they're around her. Brigitte's use of a flail and shield does make her unique. However, she's still not as powerful as we'd like, despite being a menace in the meta of the game. Next is Ana. Ana is a skilled marksman, masterful warrior, and a founding member of Overwatch. Her main weapon is the Biotic Rifle, a marksman sniper rifle that is capable of both harming foes and healing allies at the same time. While aiming down her sights, her bullets deal much more damage and healing than if she uses the hipfire. Ana's damage is mostly sap-based, as it takes little at a time but drains quickly. However, her secondary attacks really bump her upwards. Her Biotic Grenade is a splash attack that heals allies and damages enemies. Plus, it has the added effect of activating anti-healing on enemies, which stops them from healing for a short time. She also has a Sleep Dart, which causes enemies to be stunned for a short time and set up for better options. This definitely comes through with her ultimate Nano Boost, where she shoots a powerful boost into her allies, giving them increased strength, speed, and damage, allowing them to slaughter whole teams if need be. Ana is not one to mess with, and she has plenty of good and unique qualities up her sleeve. However, her old age and lack of an eye makes her not as strong as she could be, hence her ranking. Now we have Soldier 76. Being one of the original Overwatch members, Soldier is a warrior at heart who has been fighting evil for a long time. This includes both his time in Overwatch and as a vigilante. His main weapon is his pulse rifle, which works like a typical assault rifle, able to unleash many rounds in a short time, and therefore able to deal continuous damage. His secondary fire is a rocket shot from underneath the gun that can knock out low health enemies or deal moderate damage to high health foes. He's the only character who can tactical sprint, allowing him to cross great distances with little drawbacks. And he also has his healing pool, where he sets down a field of healing that can help multiple allies if no healers are around. His ultimate is the Tactical Visor, which tracks enemies and makes aiming unnecessary, where every shot, including rockets, track the enemies. Soldier is still really healthy and strong for his age, but his age makes him a bit weaker. However, the Super Soldier Serum and the power because of it lands him here. Next is the Queen Deadlock, Ashe. Ashe is a young woman from a rich family who has all kinds of weaponry up her sleeves. Ashe's main weapon is a lever rifle that holds 12 shots, able to be fired from the hip in much quicker burst, able to land a lot of damage in a short time, or while aiming, which does more damage but is slower. She carries a small double-barreled shotgun called the Coach Gun that launches her and her enemies backward, making it a very useful movement tool despite its mediocre damage. Ashe's other ability is her Dynamite, which has a relatively short fuse but is still long enough that most enemies will escape its radius if they're paying attention. However, shooting the item allows it to explode and deal massive damage. Her ultimate ability has her summon her butler Bob to attack. With his internal machine guns, massive health pool, and giant size, he makes a great ally, especially with less people to deal with than in the first game. Ashe is very intelligent and a skilled marksman, making her kit very dangerous. However, she's still heavily outclassed by everyone else on this list. Next is Wrecking Ball. Wrecking Ball, better known as Hammond, is a large hamster that was experimented on in the Horizon Lunar Colony. Usually, a creature of this stature wouldn't rank too high, but Hammond has access to his mighty drone. The Wrecking Ball is a giant escape pod made to be a much more powerful robotic creature that Hammond fights with. Its main weapons are 2 chain machine guns that fire fast with semi-low damage. However, the last fire rate makes it a massive threat. Secondly, he can shift back into the ball form, which can crush enemies, be used to drop from the sky and launch enemies into the air, or used in tandem with the grappling hook to launch them away. His other items are the Adaptive Shield, which gives more shield the more enemies that are nearby, making him survive for much longer in a firefight, and his ultimate, Minefield. The Minefield drops tons of small floating mines around the area that explode on contact. Wrecking Ball is a massive threat when he's in his mech. However, due to him being a hamster and relying on his mech, he does have to land a bit lower than others. Now we have D.Va. D.Va is a skilled gamer and mecha pilot who's part of the Korean government's mecha project. Her tactical mind and gaming skills transferred well into her piloting skills, and as such, she is a threat. Her mecha consists of a large health pool, a defense matrix that eats projectiles in front of her, 2 large fusion shotgun-esque cannons that deal massive damage in a spread, and micro-rockets that are fired fast and deal a lot of damage. She can also utilize her mecha to fly for a short time, and as seen in the Shooting Star video, she seems skilled in that. Her ultimate ability is utilizing the self-destruct sequence, causing a massive explosion that wipes enemies away almost instantly. However, outside her mecha, she's very weak with a small health pool and only a pea shooter to attack with. However, she can call upon a new mecha if enough time has passed. D.Va is surprisingly smart and strong, but outside of her mecha, she is very squishy and is liable for a lot of death. Now we have Mei. Mei is a very smart individual, studying the climate in depth in Antarctica, which is where the rest of her crew had died due to faulty equipment. She then manages to find a way to signal to the outside world and get home. She's equipped with a cryo gun that can slow enemies down very heavily and does massive damage over time. It has a secondary fire where she fires a powerful icicle that can kill some enemies in a single headshot. She can summon walls of ice to block paths from her enemies or turn herself into an ice block so that she can heal herself and negate any damage. However, her ultimate Blizzard is very powerful as it freezes enemies in place and deals massive damage, making them easy targets to kill. Mei is a menace and full of surprises, but she lacks variability. A lot of her moves are just blocking enemies from doing things, so she can't rank any higher. Next is Lucio. Lucio is very smart and a DJ who focused on pumping up the crowd around him due to their sad background. Lucio is also seemingly a master thief, since he was able to steal experimental sonic technology from the Vishkar Corporation. Lucio's main weapon is the Sonic Amplifier, which fires multiple sonic waves in quick succession, working almost like a burst machine gun. Lucio's secondary fire is commonly cutely called the Boop, which launches enemies back with a strong shockwave, able to launch them into the abyss to kill them. He has energy skates that allow him to ride along walls and roofs, alongside an aura that heals those within it or can increase their speed. Finally, his ultimate Sound Barrier adds a massive amount of shielding to his allies, allowing them to live long for a relatively small amount of time. Lucio is smart and knows how to work a crowd. However, he's obviously unskilled in his weapon, which stops him from flying higher. Up next is Cassidy. Cassidy is a gunslinger from the New West, being a skilled fighter and marksman. This really shows in his kit, with his main weapon being the Peacekeeper revolver. This revolver is a powerful weapon that deals a lot of damage via headshots, holding 6 rounds. He can either fire it like a typical pistol, or he can utilize his secondary fire, which is called Fan the Hammer. When he does this, he fires all the remaining rounds in quick succession, doing a lot of damage, especially up close. His 2 abilities are the combat roll, where he rolls across the ground and reloads his Peacekeeper, allowing for 2 subsequent Fan the Hammers if used right. His other ability is the magnetic grenade, which, when thrown, will stick to enemies and deal massive damage. In fact, its tracking is very good. Cassidy's ultimate is Deadeye, where he focuses and gets into a stance that allows him to instantly kill almost any opponent after a long enough period, with perfect marksmanship. Next is Pharah. Pharah is an amazing warrior and, much like her mother, a soldier at heart. She wears a set of armor that is nearly impenetrable and protects her from her enemies. It also has her iconic booster jets that allows her to fly around with ease. Her main weapon is a powerful rocket launcher that provides splash damage, dealing massive amounts of damage even when it misses. She can launch herself high in the air, or fire percussive blast that knocks enemies away, even off of the map. Her ultimate is the Rocket Barrage, which sets free dozens of rockets that eliminate enemies handily. Pharah is intelligent, hard to kill, and able to fly freely, but she's still outclassed. Now we have Bastion. As of writing, Bastion is still disabled, but we still know what he can do. Being an Omnic, he runs exclusively on programming, and sort of like an artificial intelligence. His main weapon is a recon gun that he uses, which deals moderate damage over a short time. His main ability is transforming into a rolling turret that deals massive damage, however it's on a time limit and has a long cooldown. He can also fire a sticky grenade, which does pretty decent damage and is able to be used even in turret form. His ultimate technique, the artillery form, turns him into a mortar-spewing artillery turret that deals massive damage over a short time. However, he's been nerfed heavily since the first game, hence a pretty decent fall from grace. While he's able to eliminate foes quickly, he's still not as strong as he could be, since he was a slave to his programming. Up next is Junkrat. Junkrat is a junker from Australia, originally coming from a semi-rich family. He joined Junkertown after the Omnic Crisis. This led to Junkrat losing his arm and leg, needing to replace them with homemade cybernetics. Junkrat isn't very smart, but he makes up for it by being a sort of tactical genius, as his weapons and abilities more than show. Junkrat's main weapon is the grenade launcher, which does exactly what it says, launching grenades in a lobbing fashion, which explodes on contact or after a short fuse. He also carries around concussion mines, which he can set down and use as a launching point or to deal damage to enemies, as well as bear traps, which lock enemies in place. His ultimate technique, the Rip Tire, is a controllable tire with spikes that will explode and kill entire enemy teams if used correctly. Junkrat is a maniacal genius at times and an absolute buffoon at others, and this wishy-washy style makes him land right here on our list. Next is Orisa. Orisa is a large Omnic with powerful metal skin that makes it hard to penetrate while also having a slew of powerful weaponry. Her main weapon is her fusion cannon that can fire very quickly prior to its overheat. The damage is decent, and it can spray among a whole team quickly, but that's not her best feature. She has the ability to coat herself in a golden coat that negates damage, leaves her in place and unable to be moved. But her newest and most important weapon is her spear, which is the majority of her moveset. She can throw it at her enemies, pinning them and dealing massive damage, or she can use it as a protective shield to push enemies around while also blocking projectiles. However, her ultimate move draws all nearby enemies in and then slams the spear into the ground, dealing massive damage to everything nearby. Orisa's large body, destructive abilities, and general moveset make her a pretty massive threat. However, she still has what is essentially the mind of a child. Next is the cold-blooded sniper, Widowmaker. Widowmaker is a member of Talon, an evil organization that has a lot of notorious criminals. After being brainwashed by them, Amelie Lacroix became Widowmaker, a cold-blooded assassin. She's a skilled marksman, able to hit targets from hundreds of yards away, and she's also highly skilled in stealth. Her main form of attack is her sniper rifle, which while scoped in, is able to hit enemies for massive damage, and while using the hipfire, acts as an automatic submachine gun that can finish off low-health enemies easily. She carries a grappling hook that allows her to reach high areas with little resistance and a placable venom mine that poisons those that step in it. Her ultimate is the ability to see her enemies through walls, which extends to all her allies, allowing her to set up amazing shots. Widow's marksmanship carries her pretty far on this list, but she's one note, which stops her from going further up. Next is the Junker Queen. Junker Queen, as her name implies, is the queen of the Junkers in Junkertown, where she rules with an iron fist, or more accurately, a magnetic gauntlet. Her main weapon is a pump shotgun that deals moderate damage with a decently sized clip that is best suited for close encounters, which is made obvious by the other parts of her kit. She has Gracie, her Bowie knife that she throws at enemies, applying a bleeding effect. She can then pull them in with her magnetic grasp, either bringing the knife back or pulling in enemies. She also has her powerful axe, Rampage, which she can swing for massive damage and applying a similar bleed effect. She also has her commanding shout, which she can use to increase her and her allies' movement speed while also increasing their health pool, although only for a little bit. Her ultimate ability is Rampage, where she flies across the battlefield applying bleed and anti-heal, making it hard for enemies to survive. Queen is a skilled fighter and a physically strong opponent. However, a lot of voice lines imply that she's either not mentally sound like a lot of Junkers or just generally not intelligent, even unaware that Junkertown has an education system. So despite how strong she is, she can't rank any higher. On the opposite end of the spectrum, we have Sombra. Sombra is a member of the criminal organization Talon, which specializes in criminal activities. Sombra is a world-class hacker that has been working for Talon for a while. And this time, she's used her world-class intelligence to become a massive threat to anyone who uses the internet. Her abilities reflect this. Her main weapon is a machine pistol who fires extremely fast and is able to take out low-health enemies quickly. Her hacking skills are utilized with her alternate fire, which hacks enemies, taking away their abilities for a short time, and allowing Sombra to deal increased damage. She has her translocator, which allows her to teleport across the map to get out of danger. She can also turn invisible, allowing her to traverse the map without getting caught, and use her ultimate ability, EMP, which deals moderate damage and hacks all enemies in range. Sombra is an opportunist who specializes in stealth. In a fistfight, she'd lose to Junker Queen, but for the most part, she'll probably win, so she ranks higher. Now we have Moira. Moira, like Sombra, is a member of Talon and an ex-member of Blackwatch, as one of the smartest and most important biologists in the world. Focused on human evolution, Moira's kit revolves around utilizing her healing and damage in tandem to deal with foes in a timely manner. Her main attack is her Biotic Grasp, which saps the enemy's health through the use of a powerful arm enhancement. This same enhancement can also spew healing mist that can be used on allies, but the main draw are her Biotic Orbs. Like her previous parts, the orbs can fire off either damage or health, depending on which one she chooses, able to damage multiple enemies or heal multiple allies at once. She also has her Fade ability, where she communes with the darkness and essentially teleports in a very quick burst of speed. Her final ability is Coalescence, where she fires off a powerful beam of energy that consists of both healing and damage, able to heal enemies and damage allies at the same time, essentially making her a beam of pure destruction. Moira's intelligence makes her a threat unlike any other, but not the most powerful. Next is Sojourn. Sojourn was a major member of Overwatch who had been enhanced with cybernetics since a very young age, making her already extremely fast and strong. Nowadays, she utilizes a very powerful railgun, with each subsequent shot charging up her secondary fire, a powerful health-melting rail shot that kills even high-health enemies. She's able to use her cybernetics to launch a powerful grenade that disintegrates health bars due to its wide radius and sheer damage output. She's able to slide across the ground and launch herself, utilizing her cybernetics, allowing her to be a very mobile fighter. Her ultimate ability, Overclock, makes her railgun work overtime and charge her secondary fire repeatedly, allowing her to deal massive damage in quick succession with very little problems. Sojourn is a powerful individual by every mean you can think of, and while her old age has probably lessened her abilities, the cybernetics really help her out. Now we have Symmetra. Symmetra is a pawn of the Vishkar Corporation and one of the only hardlight architects in the world. This position makes her a very powerful person and shows off her very high intelligence. This is shown off in her kit, where she uses her laser gun to deal damage to enemies and grows more powerful the longer she fires. Her secondary fire is a powerful ball of hard light that explodes on contact with an enemy. She also utilizes hard light for the other parts of her kit, like her teleporter portal, which can transport allies a good distance, and also her turrets, which slow enemies that are hit by them and deal significant consistent damage. Her ultimate ability is a giant hard light wall that blocks all incoming damage. Symmetra is a highly intelligent and a very powerful character, but that doesn't mean she ranks any higher, considering the final characters on this list are really powerful. Next is Roadhog. Roadhog was a member of the Junkers in Australia and one of the strongest characters in the game, having one of, if not the highest, health pool. Roadhog's main weapon is his junk cannon, which functions like a powerful shotgun with two modes of fire. The main form of fire is a strong shotgun blast that harms enemies up close, and the secondary form is a much more ranged option, which fires a ball of junk with much more range than the previous. It also has better headshot potential than the main form of fire, however it takes up more ammo. He carries cans of hydrogen, which he needs to inhale if he wants to survive. When he does this in-game, he heals himself for a lot of damage, making him very difficult to kill. He also has his iconic hook, which he can throw at enemies to pull them in close. When used correctly, he can deal massive damage and kill lower health enemies. Roadhog's ultimate ability, Whole Hog, has him feed a ton of junk into his gun, firing off his gun like a chain gun, dealing massive damage and knocking enemies away at the same time. Roadhog is a massive threat who's nearly unkillable in the right hands. However, he's still beholden to just junker technology, which stops him from ranking higher. Next is Doomfist. Doomfist is one of the highest ranking members of Talon, where he leads with the metaphorical and literal Iron Fist. Doomfist is a trained fighter, highly intelligent and intensely strong, making him a triple threat. The Doomfist increases his strength tenfold and gives him access to his hand shotgun, which fires powerful pellets at close enemies. His other fist-based abilities like the punch, the lunge, and the block make him even more of a threat, as he can leap large bounds and punch enemies from far away, launching them far away for massive damage. His ultimate ability, Meteor Strike, launches high into the air and comes down dealing massive damage to all nearby enemies, even insta-killing enemies in the inner circle. Doomfist is a giant threat, but despite his intelligence and massive strength, he's still unable to catch up to the rest of our cast, simply because of the way they all work. Now we have Baptiste Augustin. Baptiste is one of Talon's best operatives and a highly important support character for the team. He's a starkly intelligent healer and a skilled marksman that is able to handle most threats that come his way. Baptiste's main weapon is his burst rifle, which is able to secure headshots from a long range while also dealing decent damage in body shots. His secondary fire is an under-barrel grenade launcher that heals his enemies with bursts of healing. Baptiste also wears boots that allow him to launch for better positioning. He can utilize a burst of healing that heals all allies around him, which is especially good for low-health allies. His ultimate ability sets up a field that increases the damage of all bullets that go through it from your allies. This makes every ally even stronger, and Baptiste becomes an even better fighter. However, what really puts him over the top is his immortality field, which does exactly what it says, stopping your allies from dying until it's destroyed. This alone provides a look into amazing technology which stops you from death even when a nuke explodes in your face, and this makes him a very powerful character. Up next is Reaper. Reaper is a ghost of a man with enhanced strength, speed, and a set of supernatural powers given to him by Moira. Reaper was already strong before he gained his powers, but after he gained them, he became even stronger. His main weapons are the Hellfire Blasters, two powerful shotguns that deal massive damage. He can pull them out of the Shadow Realm and essentially has an infinite amount. Reaper's real draw, however, are his abilities. The Wraith form turns him into mist, essentially making him impossible to hit. He also has Shadow Step, a powerful teleport that can move you far distances. His ultimate is Death Blossom, where he dashes into battle and fires a large amount of bullets in every direction, killing most enemies around you. But what really gives him a step above the rest is his immortality. He's said to be essentially immortal, some dialogue saying he can't be killed in a way that matters. This makes him essentially a god, but he still can't rank higher. Next is Winston. Winston is a giant ape that, like Hammond, was experimented on in the Horizon Lunar Colony, becoming a literal genius and is one of, if not the smartest hero on the roster. Winston is a double threat, as he has all of the strength of a gorilla but the intense intelligence of a human. His main weapon is the Tesla Cannon, firing electricity that tracks his enemies and makes it hard to escape, with a secondary bolt fire that deals really good damage. He has a giant bubble shield that he can deploy so that he can avoid and survive incoming attacks, as well as the ability to leap great distances in a single bound and cause a shockwave upon landing. His ultimate ability is none other than Primal Rage, where he resets to his base instincts and attacks with pure rage, increasing his health pool and damage in such a way that makes him nearly unstoppable. Winston's intelligence allowed him to create the Chronal Accelerator, giving him control over time to some degree. Plus, his amazing strength makes it obvious why he ranks so high. Next is his good friend and ally, Tracer. Tracer is a weird one, but she's a powerful character in one way or another. She may not be the most serious or the smartest on our list, but she does have her Chronal Accelerator, so she has a small amount of control over time and space, and this would make her very powerful if she knew how to wield it. Her main weapons are her pulse pistols, two small and quick pistols that can deal a lot of damage. However, they have a small clip and need constant reloading, which leads to a lot of problems if not used correctly. However, her main mode of attack and transport are her blinks, where she can move forward or backwards in a literal blink of an eye. This shows her control over space, as she can enter or exit a space. She also has her recall, where she can go back in time, reinstating her previous state, such as her health and her ammo count, making her a threat if used correctly. Tracer's ultimate ability is her Pulse Bomb, a powerful handheld bomb that explodes for a lot of damage. Tracer's rudimentary control over time and space is enough to rank her high on the list. However, it's not powerful enough to get further. Next is Mercy. Mercy is a premier support hero in the game, full of amazing abilities that definitely rank her really high. Her main weapon is the Catechus Staff, a powerful piece of technology that is able to heal wounds just by locking onto an ally. It also has the ability to increase the damage output of the hero it's attached to. This makes it really strong with certain heroes, such as Pharah and Roadhog. Mercy has a myriad of other abilities, such as her wings, which can slow her descent when she falls, or be used to fly to allies so she can be more of a help. She also has a secondary weapon, the pistol, which she can fire pretty quickly, but her damage is not what really makes her strong. Instead, her ultimate ability, Guardian Angel, allows her to fly around, healing and powering up multiple allies at once, or increasing her pistol damage massively. What sets her so high on the list is the ability to revive her allies from the dead, which not only makes her powerful, but also able to do something so amazing with just waving her hand. The bronze medal of power goes to the AI, Echo. Echo is a specially made artificial intelligence created by Mina Lau. She was created to adapt to her allies on the battlefield and be a lot of help. Being one of the final damage heroes released for Overwatch 1, she got very little changes in Overwatch 2. Her main weapon is the Finger Blast, which fire quick in a straight line, but have much more range than someone like Doomfist. Echo also has smart sticky bombs she can fire off that deal massive damage when someone is hit by them. She can utilize booster jets and her wings to fly around the map and slow her descent, making her able to deal with threats like Pharah. Finally, she also has her Focusing Beam, a powerful beam that lasts a few seconds and deals increased damage to those under half health. However, what ranks her so high is her ultimate, Duplicate. This allows her to become a physical copy of any other hero on the battlefield, gaining their abilities and even their ultimate. This allows her to have very powerful tools like Mercy's Revive or the abilities of the not revealed top 2. However, while this makes her powerful, it only lasts a short time and her health cannot reach over a certain level, making her weaker than the top 2. The silver medal of power goes to Zarya. Zarya has intense strength, an incredible mind, and an amazing power set. Zarya's main weapon is the heavy beam cannon that she took off of a tank. With her amazing strength, she lugs around the powerful weapon that has a beam strong enough to melt health bars. She can set up bubbles that, when damaged, increases the damage output of her beam. She can bubble herself and her allies so they can power up her beam. Her cannon has an alternate grenade-like fire that causes a small explosion, allowing for a bit of damage from a longer range. She gets the silver medal because of her ultimate ability, Graviton Surge. Graviton Surge lets loose a portable black hole that pulls enemies in for other attacks and deals damage. This comes from her gun, as far as we're aware, and that shows that she has access to one of the most destructive forces of the universe. However, because it comes only from her gun and not herself, she can't take gold. The gold medal of power goes to Sigma. Sigma is a member of Talon, being essentially mind controlled because they manipulate his fractured mind. Usually having such a fractured mind would be a bad thing, but for Sigma, it has increased his abilities, and he's retained enough of his intelligence to still be smart. Sigma's main weapon are his 2 hyperspheres, which he can fire fast. They explode after a short duration and bounce off of the environment. The rest of his abilities all focus on his control of gravity, save for the experimental barrier, which acts as a shield for your team. He can absorb projectiles, which become shields for him through the use of a miniature black hole, or he can gather a mass of debris with accretion, that he then throws and knocks him to the floor. His ultimate ability shows this off with Gravatic Flux. He's able to manipulate the gravity and slam enemies into the floor, causing massive damage and cementing his spot on this list. Sigma is extremely powerful, able to manipulate space and gravity in such a way that is unmatched, at least from a lore perspective. Alright guys, that's it. Let us know in the comment section if you agree with our ranking, and tell us what we should cover next. And if you need a one-up, hit that notification bell and binge our Weak to Powerful playlist, where we break down who the most powerful characters are in your favorite games. Thanks for watching.